Mic check. Mic check.
Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence. Spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence. Waste of existence.
The sun is shining and the anxious earth is rising. I'm so happy.
We spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence.
Oh, hey. Hey, Double Tribble here. How are you? Looks like my audio's working. Cool. That's always good. This is Ron in New Hampshire, going by the name of Double Tribble, on Twitch. This is a live Twitch stream. If you're watching this on a VOD on YouTube or somewhere, this is just a live recording of a stream. And it's not an edited video like you normally find on those platforms. So feel free to skip ahead to whatever I put in the title of the video that got you to click on the video. You can just scoot ahead because I'm going to talk about a bunch of other stuff probably before I get to whatever I put in the title of the video. Yeah, I live in New Hampshire. Pretty cool here. Actually, it's warming up now. All the way. We're over 16 degrees C now, so that's pretty good. That's enough for me to sit in here and do a stream. So that's why I'm streaming. There was a period there where it was too cold in this room for me to do streams, and I didn't want to waste a bunch of energy just to heat up this room just so I could do a stupid streams, you know. So I wasn't streaming there for a little bit. Or streaming less often, only when it warmed up enough. But now it's warm. It's warming up. The snow is melting. It's pretty cool. I live in a kind of a rural area here. It's I've got forests all over the place. You know what? Let me show you. I'm gonna. We got snow out there, but the snow is melting. I can kind of show you what's going on here because it's kind of cool. Let me see if I can do that here. Oh wait, I'm gonna have to adjust the. Oh shit! Let me see here. Let me adjust the. How how do I do that? I'm gonna adjust the camera so I can point it out the window, you know, at the snow. So let me like I can put the brightness down, put all these things down after I spent all this time trying to get them adjusted. All right, let's see. All right, let me move this outside now and get a picture of the snow out there. It's really bright. So I gotta change the adjustments on the. Is that still on? Is that working? Yeah, that's working. Oh no, I just hit the. Isn't that cool? So the snow is just starting to melt out there. It's so there's a forest over that way, and out that way, and then out this way. Way out in the distance there is Mount Cube. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's so we've got a lot of different stuff out here, and that's where I go skiing out there in that backyard sometimes. And the snow is just melting away now, so we might get some. They said that we might get some more, a little bit of dusting tonight, but I think we're pretty much in the mud season now, they call it. All right, let me move this back over here. So yeah, it's pretty muddy out there now. That's like one of, they call it mud. It's mud season, you know. It's like a regular thing in the spring when the when the snow melts, it gets muddy, you know. Let me adjust my camera again here now so we can see. Put a little bit of gain on it. Give it a little more time to expose. There we go. How's that look? That looks pretty good, right? Good enough. So, yeah, so that's cool that the snow is melting away. And we'll have a few, maybe a month or so here before the insects come. When the insects come, then it's, you know, so that's one of the, you know, the mud is kind of a pain, right? And, but the good thing is that there are no insects yet. The insects all got killed off when the winter came, and then you know, they don't come back until it warms up enough that the ground warms up and the water drains, and they're able to come out. I had one beetle that came out about a week or so ago. I don't know where he came from. Huge beetle. I mean, really big. You know. And he just showed up. He was on the window on the inside. We get these little ladybugs, you know. Those they come indoors during the winter. I don't know how they get in here, but they figure it out. They come in here and they cuddle up together in the corners and ride out the winter. And then when it warms up, then they all want to go outside again. But this beetle came out like it was really good. It was like below zero out there, and this beetle came out for some reason. Indoors here. See, he must have come out of he must have been a larvae inside one of my potted plants here, because I take dirt and stuff from outside, you know, from the forest, and he must have just, you know, been a larvae inside one of those or something, and emerged here inside my house, and just decided to fly around. And, you know, I don't know where he is right now. I gotta watch. I don't want to step on him. Yeah, he's big though. He's huge, you know. I mean, like, really, you know, big, big beetle. If I ever find him when I'm doing a stream, I'll grab him and show you. So I'm 100% solar now. You saw how sunny it was out there. That's really cool. So I got got my solar thing here configured so it's running. The streaming computer is running straight off the solar from the sun right now. So 100% solar right now. That's really cool. What I put on the title here, I said, this woman made extraterrestrial life possible in our solar system. because I want to talk about a woman who did that. She, I mean, she didn't actually make it possible. I mean, she didn't make ET, right? I mean, but anyway, I'll tell you the whole story about her. You know, going all the way back, way hundreds of years, right? They've always thought about, you know, at least some people have thought about extraterrestrial life. You know, what if there's life up on the stars or on the moon or whatever? You know, around the turn of the century, it was the moon. You know, maybe there are people living on the moon. Scientists probably I think they figured it out by then that they weren't, but it was the moon and Mars were the ones that people really thought about having life, and they you know, they only thought about life as being like us. You know, I mean, like, you know, they didn't think that life could live. There were no knowledge of extremophiles or anything like that. It was you know, Venus was too hot, Mercury was too hot, Mars, they thought, okay, maybe. And when they first started looking at Mars through big telescopes, one of the earlier astronomers, I forget his name, he you know, because of his optics or whatever, it looked to him like there were canals on Mars. And you know, they figured out right away that it wasn't canals, but that was just something that was brought into the public consciousness for a long time. Is, oh, there are canals up on Mars, there must be people up there building canals on Mars, and you know, and so that was a deal for a long time. And let me bring up something here. In around the turn of the century, here we go. Well, first we had War of the Worlds, right? H.G. Wells wrote War of the Worlds at the end of the 19th century, 1889, and that was about Mars. You know, E.T. on Mars, people, ETs on Mars, and his story was that they came and attacked and blah blah blah. You know. And sci-fi has changed. You know, some of them are friendly. Sometimes they're friendly. Sometimes they attack us, and it just depends upon what's going on in the world at the time. I think about what what authors want to say about it. Oh, hey, they got a little audio here. Look at this. H.G. Wells recording. Oh, let's see what this says. Should I dare do this? Yeah, let me do this. I'll try this. Let's see what this says.
Recordings are in.
Okay, it's not. Yeah, there it goes. No. Okay, I can do this. I know I can do it. No, maybe I can't. That's weird. I don't understand why that's not playing that audio. Okay, well, I don't need to play that anyway. All right. Anyway, so H.G. Wells wrote this thing about ETs on Mars, right, and attacking us and blah blah blah, and they made it into movies over and over and over again. Let's see, adaptations. I mean, they got a whole separate Wikipedia page of adaptations of this thing, of War of the Worlds, you know. Let's see what they got here. Look at it. Look at all these different adaptations of it. Theatrical, parodies. You know, look at that. It's a big deal. So it's still, you know, it's still a thing. You know, we just had one here with when was it? Film. Let's see if they got film here. Do they have film? Films. Film adaptations. There was one here recently. I don't know why that's not here. Oh, there it is. Oh, here's a new one in 23. 25, that's the one that was, a big deal. They made it, and they pumped it up and put a lot of money into promoting that. So, but back in the 30s, when was this? 1938. Orson Welles, not related to no relation to H.G. Wells, but Orson Welles produced this radio program. And the way he did it is he said that he made it sound realistic, which was not. People weren't used to that, They would do these radio shows, and it'd just be people. They weren't recorded or anything. They just have people in a radio station standing in front of mics, talking back and forth and acting this out, voice actors, But the way that Orson Welles did it is he took this War of the Worlds story and made it sound like a newscast. So he made instead of just telling the story of War of the Worlds, he made it sound like the radio station was reporting on an attack from Mars by Martians, attacking. And it was new to people. People weren't used to that style, realism or whatever. And so there was a lot of people. Some people, I don't know why. There's no way of knowing how many, but a lot of people were fooled. They actually thought that the Martians were attacking, So and it got a bunch of press, which I'm sure is what he wanted to do. He wanted to get press on it, reporting. But anyway, it was a big deal, and it was reported, and there's just all kinds of stuff. I mean, I learned about this in college. I got a degree in mass communication, and this was one of the things they talked about. Was this radio broadcast and the effects on society and blah blah blah. The whole thing. So anyway, so that's where people were at in terms of ET, right? So it was either the moon or Mars, and I think there was one guy like hundreds of years ago who did some sort of fantasy thing where he said that there was people living on a star, which was way ahead of its time. But generally, thinking of ET, in fiction and stuff like that, it was, maybe they're on Mars, maybe they're on the moon, and that's it, because they knew that once you got past Mars, then the sun would be too far away and it'd be too cold. It'd be too cold for us. I mean, Mars is too cold for us without, extraordinary technology, right? And their thinking was, that if there was intelligent, if there were ETs, they'd be like us. They could only live in the conditions that we could live in. And so for a long time, it was either moon or Mars. And then, pretty soon we discovered there was no atmosphere on the moon, and that was it. And we said, okay, no life on the moon, but maybe Mars, and that whole canal thing that kind of tied into it. So it's that was the thing, right? Maybe in Mars, but beyond Mars, they were thinking, no, it's not going to be, there won't be any life, beyond Mars because it would be too cold. And then as we started doing more, sending spacecraft out there, like we did Mars earlier, and then we went to Pioneer and Voyager, went out into the solar system, and it was pretty clear by that point that there was no life in our solar system. Maybe there was ancient life on Mars, they thought, but once you got out beyond Mars, that was it. There was no way there could be any life at all, and so that's kind of a bummer. And most, in terms of intelligent life, after this War of the Worlds, and after we learned that Mars didn't have anything, then even scientists wouldn't even think about extraterrestrial life. It was really, most scientists wouldn't even think, conjecture that there would be life after that, like ET type life, SETI, that sort of thing, intelligent life. And so, it wasn't until the 80s actually that Carl Sagan, was a prominent guy who came out and said, well, maybe there could be intelligent life out there. We should look for it, and blah blah blah, and then and he kind of made it cool, right, for scientists to come out. Scientists, before that time, maybe I don't know, maybe up until the mid 70s, people, scientists would not, in a serious way, conjecture that, write a paper on it or something like that. They wouldn't do that. Anyway, so after they we found out that Mars wouldn't have any life on it, extant life. Then we said, okay, that's it. We don't have any life in our solar system. And they started thinking about, well, maybe there's life on other planets around other stars. And there were no extra solar planets discovered by that time. We didn't know for sure if there were any planets around other stars yet at the time. None of them had been observed, So it wasn't looking good for ET. We're thinking, oh God, there's no ET. We don't have any extraterrestrial life anywhere because it's not on Mars. It's not on the moon. We don't even know if there is any life on other planets. It doesn't look too good. There's no life. Certainly no life in our solar system. And then there was a discovery. They discovered this process called chemosynthesis. The problem with having life beyond Mars is the sun isn't strong enough to do photosynthesis, and it's too cold. So that's a problem. But they discovered these vents, hydrothermal vents, way down in the bottom of the ocean. Let's see, where was it first discovered? Oh, at the Galapagos Rift. Okay, I've got dyslexia and social dyslexia, and sometimes it gets to my pronunciation. At about the same time, so they discovered these thermal vents, right? Down to the bottom of the ocean where the sun doesn't shine, right? This is way, way, way deep in the ocean. And they're saying, now how can these things live down there? And scientists started putting out ideas. How does this work? How can these things live way down on the bottom of the ocean? And so this woman here, Colleen Cavanaugh, she came up with the idea that maybe, the idea was kind of out there. Somebody had talked about this, the idea of chemosynthesis. Maybe there's a way to, that life can synthesize food for itself in ways other than photosynthesis. But when they discovered these tubes, what do they call them? They've got a Riffia pachyptilia. That's the name of the organism that they found down there. That thing. They found those at the bottom of the ocean, and so they're trying to figure it out. And she came out with the idea that there could be this a bacteria that lives inside their cells of these worms, these tube worms, that uses chemosynthesis to create food for these tube worms. And that's what she discovered it and proved it and got it, and did the whole paper on it and all that stuff. Here's her thesis on it right here. There's a link to it. I could put that in the put that in chat. And you just go to Wikipedia article on Colleen Cavanaugh, and you can get all the links to it. So she figured it out, man. So she figured out that these organisms can live at the bottom of the ocean where there's no light at all getting to them, and the only energy that is coming is from these vents, these hydrothermal vents. Here. Whoops. Right? So way down deep at the bottom of the ocean where there's no sun, no sunlight at all. It's completely dark. But they've got geologic activity underneath the earth that is causing heat to be spewed out into the ocean. And then that heat is used to facilitate chemosynthesis. And I don't understand chemistry that much, so I'm sorry I won't be able to explain that in detail. I don't know how it works. But it facilitates a chemical reaction that will make food. Let's see, do they have anything in here? Maybe they got a quick explanation of how it works. Chemosynthesis. There it is. See, that looks pretty complicated to me. I don't understand that. But that's how it happens. Hydrogen sulfide chemosynthesis. Giant tube worms with bacteria. So it's not the tube worms who are doing this. It's a bacteria that lives inside the cells of the tube worms. And this woman, Colleen Cavanaugh, figured that out. So kudos to Colleen Cavanaugh for figuring that out. And the significance of that, she got that all figured out and everything. And this was in 1985 is when she published it. I'm sure she talked about it before then. But we had a dry period there where we didn't think there were any ETs. After we figured out you couldn't have life on Moon and Mars, and we started sending spaceships out to explore Jupiter and these other places, and it was clear. We say, well, there's not enough light out here. These are gas giants. You can't have life. There's no ground. There's no atmosphere. Blah blah blah. And we thought, that's it. Where there's no life in our solar system at all. There can't be life in our solar system. That was the idea for a few decades there, from several decades. But when Colleen came up with this, discovered how these tube worms work, then there was a possibility. Said, okay, so there could be, if there was enough geologic activity on planets further out in the solar system, they wouldn't have to have sunlight to live. So maybe there is life, and then they start talking about it a little bit more. No, we can, maybe we've got ET. So this woman, Colleen Cavanaugh, made it possible again for us to think about ET in our own solar system. So that's very cool. And then, when we just were out there looking at Jupiter and stuff like that, we discovered moons of the gas giants, moons of Jupiter and of Saturn, that because they are orbiting a planet that has a huge gravity, right? Jupiter is much larger than the Earth. It has a huge gravity. And these planets are not, it's not their orbits are not exactly circular; they're elliptical. So they're getting closer and further away, and closer and further away, as they orbit these large gas giants. And when they do that, it deforms the moons, and that strain and deformation as they orbit each time causes heat inside the moons. And so we've discovered that, right? We've discovered that there are. Let me see if I can find an image of that in here somewhere. Of one of those moons spewing out stuff. Let's see here, moons. Exploration. Why is this such a short article? Exploration of Saturn. Look at how short this article is. That doesn't make sense. Let me see if I can find this here. Voyager, Cassini probe. I'm trying to find one where they show the. There it is. Okay, let's see. Okay, Enceladus. Let's see if they have that. They have a picture of that. I think this was the one where they had the big. There it is. So here are the plumes of Enceladus, and so that's showing that it's hotter. It's hotter on the inside than it is on the outside, and it's whatever's underneath the water or whatever the fluid is inside. It's got a hard crust on the outside, fluid on the inside. They say they think it's water vapor. So when they discovered that, they said, okay, we've got Colleen discovered this chemosynthesis, so we know that organisms can live without sunlight as long as there's geologic activity. We've got Enceladus, which has got water, which is needed for life, and it's hot, hotter on the inside. So maybe there's an organism in there that's doing chemosynthesis, and so they're saying, great, we can go out and look for life again, So that was kind of a big deal. So she when was this? This was the early. Okay, following Voyager's encounters, scientists postulate it to be geologically active based on its young reflective surface. Okay, so this was back in the early 80s. So Colleen discovered this in the 70s, I think. Her paper came out in the 80s. But that's when all this kind of changed, was when put those two things together and you got ET. So that was really cool. And so that's a big deal now. Now we have a whole area of science now of extraterrestrial exobiology, right? Exobiology now is a thing now. It's back on again. There was no, for a while there, we thought it was impossible to have life in our solar system other than on Earth. But now we think it might be possible. And we just sent a spacecraft up there. What was the name of that one? We just sent one up there to go by. Let's see. I can't remember which one it is now. Anyway, we're sending all kinds of probes up there, and so we're going to figure out eventually. The plan is eventually to get to the first one is just going to fly really close to it, the surface of the thing, and as it's flying really close, close like 15, 20 miles off the surface. Really close, almost like as high as a plane would fly. Very, very high flying plane or balloons or something on the Earth. That's how close they're going to fly to these to this moon, and try to sample as it flies really close to the surface. it's going to try to sample some of the stuff coming out of these plumes, and if it can do that, then it can maybe figure out if it has the right conditions for life. And then eventually the idea is to get is to get a spacecraft to actually land here and drill in or go through the surface and get into the water underneath. Which would be really cool. Now they think it's all water, and they say it has more water on Enceladus than on the Earth, all the oceans of Earth, which just seems incredible, but that's what they're saying. But yeah, that would be cool, huh? To get there and drill underneath and go in there and find a whole ecosystem in there, in an ocean here. It'd be cool if there was intelligent life too. I don't know nobody's speculating about that, but it's possible, you know. I think it's possible. You know, you can imagine like intelligent life that, you know, has developed technology and everything under there, and they just, you know, they're living. They don't know anything about the outside solar system or the universe. All they know is their own little world in there. I think some sci-fi writers have written about that. I mean, you can imagine what it'd be like, you know, what kind of society it would be and everything, living inside this thing, you know, and not knowing anything about the outside world, not knowing about the solar system or the other planets or anything about the universe or nothing. All they know is what's inside here, you know, that it's warm and, you know, maybe they know about this coating here and they're unable to get through it for some reason, or, you know, I mean, you just have all kinds of different imaginations about that. But it's probably if there is life, it's probably just, you know, simple life. I don't know. Who knows? That's what we got to find out, right? Let's go there and find out what that's about. So that's pretty cool. Another thing I want to talk about today. So yeah. All right. So that's chemosynthesis. Chemosynthesis. Another way to power life other than from the sun. And yeah, you know, all of our energy that we use, all of our food comes from the sun. All of it. And I'm using the sun right now to power this stream. So all of our food, food is just stored energy, right? That's what it is. Food is just stored energy. It's energy from the sun that gets turned into gets stored in chemical energy through photosynthesis in the plants. And the plants use that stored food to carry on their process to grow and do their thing, make seeds, reproduce, blah 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 blah. And then we meaning we earthlings, animal earthlings, eat the plants, and that's how we get our food. So everything comes from the sun, you know. Now, not all of our heat of the planet comes from the sun, but all of our food energy comes from the sun, because we don't eat those little tube worms that grow in the bottom of the ocean. We don't eat those. I don't think anybody's eaten those before. Yeah, we only eat plants and let's see, we eat I guess we eat fungi and yeast too, don't we? As well as plants. So, but the yeast, let's see, the fungi live off of plant material, I think. I think they all do that, don't they? They live off of plant material. And yeast eat like glucose and stuff like that comes from plants too. So everybody gets their stuff from plants and from the sun ultimately. So on solar stuff, since I was talking about that, I thought it would be cool to talk about subterranean homes. I didn't research this before the stream. I should have, but I didn't. I just, got only so much time to do stuff. Subterranean. Huh. Home. Let's see if that. How can I not have subterranean? I'm doing a search here for subterranean homes. Let me try building subterranean building. Oh, there we go. Okay, they've got an article on this. There it is. Earth shelter. There we go. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this because this is kind of a cool thing. I've got a stream that I did, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, I don't know, about tips on how to save energy, because we gotta save it. We gotta not burn fossil fuels anymore, and our leaders aren't figuring it out. They don't have their shit together. So we got to do it ourselves. We got to figure out how to not use fossil fuels on all everything that we do. I'm finally now 100% not using fossil fuels, except some of the things that I buy may have been produced using fossil fuels. The indirect stuff, right? But my own use, in my car and in heating my home and everything, I don't use fossil fuels anymore, so that's good. And it wasn't easy to do because the whole system is set up to force you to do that, But one of the things that you can do, if you're thinking about building a home, or modifying your home or whatever, is you can do a subterranean home. Now I don't know why they didn't call this subterranean here, but they're calling it earth shelter, earth house, underground home. Underground home is a structure, usually a house with earth soil against the walls. So here's one that's kind of, this one looks kind of cool actually. So it's basically a house that's built so that you could put dirt over the top of it. Look, they've got little things here for letting light in, natural lighting and all kinds of stuff. And the thing about that is that if the ground likes to stay the same temperature all the time. It doesn't vary that much. When it gets really cold out, the ground will stay warm, if you go deep enough. And if it gets really hot in the summertime, the ground will be cooler. So if you can build your home or building or anything, whatever you're doing, so that a lot of it is underground, then it will stay a constant temperature no matter how cold or hot it gets outside, which means you don't have to use energy to run an air conditioner or a heater or whatever, to keep the temperature good. And so that's what these things do. Let's see what they say about it here. Oh, they got definitions. They got the history of it. Oh yeah, here's old, yeah. Yeah, people, a long time ago people were using it. The first people who settled, I remember reading in this area here, around here, when the first Europeans were first spending their first winters here and stuff like that. That's how they survived the winter, is they dug and went underground. That's how all the animals around here survived the winter. Well, not all of them, most of them, is they dig, they go underground, they dig down underground and get deep enough that they can. So that the temperature doesn't vary so much that it kills them, and that's how they survive. heyday, 70s and 80s heyday. I don't know what this is. That's absurd. Somebody's got an editorial issue there calling that a heyday. Let's see, modern times. Okay, they got all kinds of different types. They don't have a lot of pictures here. Huh. Oh shit, I gotta do this. Why didn't that? There we go. Sorry about that. I thought I had that up on my thing there. There we go. Did I show that? Did you see that before? I don't know if that showed up or not. I thought it was showing up. All right, so that's the subterranean home. In case it didn't show up the first time. And they got these little domes on top that let the light in. You know, all the stuff. And they have different kinds. You know, there's different ways that you can do it. Bermed, you know, earth berm. So yeah, it's better if you have an area like this where there's a slope. You can dig into the ground, into the slope sideways a little bit, or pile dirt up against it. In hill, that's what it is. In hill, right? And underground, just digging down underground. Just, you know, that's probably a little bit more difficult to pull off because there it is. They're using the word subterranean. Oh shit! God, I can't believe this thing. Subterranean. There we go. Earth shelter describes a house where the ground is excavated and the house is set in below grade. That's a little harder to do. Like around here, it'd be really tough because it gets wet, you know. So you'd have a flooding problem and lots of stuff like that. I think a way to do it is to just dig into a hill or dig in to something, and then build like I say, a concrete. So like, all right, let me get my little drawing pad here. Let's see if I can draw this for you. What I'm talking about. I'll draw you what the idea is. I'm talking about on how to do a subterranean home really easy. I think it would be easy. Let's see here. Okay, I don't know why that's there. That shouldn't be there. There we go. Okay. So if you want to do a subterranean home, first you get your I get it where I can draw on UBS. There we go. Boom. OBS, I'm sorry. Can you see that now? Is that showing up? Good. All right. So if you've got that, I don't need. This I do need. All right. So if you have a, suppose you got a hill here that's kind of a slight hill, right? Like this. Like that. And what you can do is, first you want to figure out where the sun is. If the sun is over here somewhere, that's great. Then the sun can shine into your home. And so you cut away this part, maybe. Do some excavation here, cut away this. Like that. Put that in a big pile over here somewhere. Then use concrete to build a dome over this. You know what I'm saying? To build an arc like this. Let me use an eraser here. All right, make sure my sound. I got it. Can you still hear what I'm saying? Good. Okay. The all right. So you excavate out this area here. All right. Why is this not undoing here? Jesus. Eraser. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, so you dug this out, right? Like that. Then take cement or whatever, cement has issues, but and then you do it like a dome, right? Make a dome here. That's, you know what I mean, like an arc type of a dome. That wasn't very good. Let me redo that. Trying to draw this on that thing here. All right. And let's see, excavated it all the way out, down to here. And just do a dome, right? When you do an arc like that, it's a very stable structure, Domes and arcs and stuff like that are really strong. So I don't know if I did that well. So do a dome like that of cement or whatever material, something strong, bricks, whatever you're using. And once you got that, then fill in this area here with anything that could be insulation, all over it, all along the outside. And this is not like go buy insulation. I mean, like, old plastic bags or bottles, plastic bottles, anything like that. Wood chippings, anything that could act as an insulator all over it. On the outside, on top of the cement or brick or whatever. And then you've got your floor in here, and you've got stuff set up for draining and all that underneath. And then after you've got all the insulation on there, then all this dirt you had piled up on here, move that back over again. Push it back over on top of this insulation, like that. All right, so this would all be dirt again on top. And then you can grow grass and plants and stuff like that on top, and it would have, if you saved the topsoil and made sure you saved any life that was there, and then reestablish it back on top, then you haven't disturbed anything, really. You've disturbed whatever critters were in the ground there, maybe. And then there are ways you can do that so you don't actually have to kill them, And then this is super insulated at this point then. It's got whatever the ground temperature is, that's going to be the temperature. That would be like the outdoor temperature. And then you could put insulator down here too, right? You put insulation on the bottom too. Before at the very beginning, before you get started. And then you're like in a little cocoon there. And let's say it's 42 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that? Like 8 degrees? I don't know, 7 degrees C. That would be like your outdoor temperature. And if you've got really good insulation here, then your ambient energy that's produced in here, your body heat, the body heat of the people who are in here, and maybe their TV or computer, you know, or refrigerator, I don't know, whatever stuff they have in here, their lights, that's going to make just ambient energy, and that'll be enough to heat to keep your inside at, you know, 70 degrees or whatever Fahrenheit, you know, 20 degrees C or whatever temperature is a good temperature, and it would require zero extra energy. And you could, and if you needed it, of course, you're going to want to put windows, so you have like one of these type of windows like this out here. All right. That way you can control, you can open it or close it or whatever if you wanted to get more extra solar energy coming in here. You could also do periscope windows. You know, let me show you what a periscope window is. If you had a like a, you're underground, right, like this, and you want to have a window here, but there's dirt all over, right? What you do is you have a little periscope. You put it, you install. You've got thick walls, right, because you're insulated. And you install a mirror like this. This would be a mirror. Huge mirror right here. This is a window, or just open. This could just be open here. Let me open that up. Okay. And then up top, you have another thing up here, like this. And it could be any shape you want on top of here, but this is another mirror here. And the face of the mirror, and this one is this side and this side. So what happens is you on the inside here, you're underground, but you want to look outside. You want to be able to, you know, like you're looking out a window. You would look and see this mirror here. Let me get a little bit better. And so it'd come in like this. It'd bounce off this mirror, come up here, bounce off this mirror, and then go look at the nice trees and the animals and stuff outside. So it's a periscopic window. I don't know if that's anything that exists. I just made that up. I'm sure somebody's thought of it before, so I don't know if you look up, we could do a search for periscopic window to see if that exists anywhere. But that's something you could do. And you can, these little mirrors, you can buy mirrors in those little small, like 8x8 tile mirror or whatever. And there are lots of different ways you can do this. And that way it would be like almost having a regular, and the way you do this mirror would have to be much larger than this mirror. Actually, I did that backwards, but this would have to be a little bit smaller, and this would have to be a little bit larger for it to work right optically. But that way you could have a window. It'd be really well insulated, right? There's a whole bunch of air in between here. So it's well insulated. You know, it'd be a cool thing to do. And that other one had you know, there's lots of different. You could do other types of periscopic stuff here. You know, just a regular old periscope type, or and then things that just let light in, natural lighting in. You know, lots of different stuff. So it's not. You know, it's not like you're underground, you're living in a cave and you can't see outside or something like that, you know. You can set it up so that it appears just like a regular house. If you had a whole bunch of these windows around, all over the place, then it would be the same thing, in fact, this type of periscopic mirror, a window like this, you would probably put on this side of the house. You'd put a mirror here and have a column here going up and a mirror here. That way, on this side of the house, you could just look through a normal window that the sun is shining in. And on this side of the house, you could look at this periscopic mirror. Oh shit, I did that backwards. It'd be this way. You get the idea, right? So you could set it up so that it's on the inside here. You wouldn't know the difference that you were underground or not. It could look just like you were in a regular house. So anyway, so that's, and that would save a whole ton of money, I think. Energy, money too, right? But it would save a lot of energy to build homes that way, I think. We can do all this stuff. It's not that hard. We have all the technology. It's not like we have to wait to invent fusion or all that bullshit. We can just do it. I did it. I did it all by myself, and I'm super poor. I don't have any money. I just know stuff. That's it. Yes, I'm done. No, I don't want to save. All right, there we go. We can do this. They put out these things saying, oh, by 2050 we'll reduce our fossil fuels by 15%. Wow, yay, great. That's just it can be done today. It can be done right now. The only reason it's not being done is because of the oligarchs. The oligarchs, are running things, and they want to control people. They want to control people by controlling energy that they use. They want to sell bombs and weapons and stuff like that, so they need something to fight over. If everybody had enough energy and everything that they needed to live, there'd be fewer reasons to fight each other, and then they wouldn't be able to sell as many bombs and weapons and stuff, and they wouldn't be able to control people. And what it is, there's like 1% of the human population are assholes who just want to screw everything up and control people and do bad things, and it's messing everything up, and they're controlling all that, and unfortunately people who are like that seek out leadership. They want to be in charge, so they're the ones who end up being the leaders. So we got to do it ourselves. We got to figure it out ourselves. And I wanted to explain that one thing. And I did a whole stream on this. There are a lot of things you can do. Obviously open the window. Let the sun come in during the day. If it's cold during the winter, you want to make it warmer. Open the windows and let the sun in during the day. And at night, when it's cold, put insulation over the windows. I use this this Mylar stuff. This works really good. This really keeps the heat in. I had this on the back window back there. I had it on there for most of the winter, and I finally took it off the other day because it warmed up enough that I didn't need it at night to keep it warm in here anymore. But that's what you do in the winter, and then in the summer, you do the opposite. You shade it. You shade the sun out so it doesn't make the house hot. Open the windows at night. All that kind of stuff. Make sure you have plenty of insulation. Use heat pumps instead of burning fossil fuel. Make sure your home is all electric, no gas. Don't use gas. Don't use gas in your car. Don't use gasoline or petrol in your car. Get an electric car. There are things that we can do to get off of. and don't travel. Right, like right now, things where you don't have much of a choice, like flying in an airplane, or if you're using public transportation and all that kind of stuff. A lot of times they're going to be using fossil fuels, so just don't do that. Don't travel. Don't travel. Don't drive places unless you have to. Avoid driving places. Try to hook up solar if you can. Solar energy. Call your utility and find out about switching, because you can, in the United States, they have it's set up so that your electricity, you can tell your electric utility where you want to source your electricity from, and you can call them and switch your source so that it's from a clean source, from a source that's not using fossil fuels. Our stupid utility here, EverSource, I save these. They send out a little thing that's say here's the energy mix of your electricity. It comes from nuclear and from coal and from blah blah blah, and they list it all. And like for the last 5 years, they've been increasing the amount of fossil fuel use. I thought it'd be going more solar and hydro and all this, but I look back over the history of the thing. The last 5 years, they've increased the amount of fossil fuels that they're using in electricity over the last 5 years. I'm like, what are you doing? So I finally just called and switched it over to a supplier that is 100% renewable. They don't use any fossil fuels at all. So, and anyone in the U.S. can do that, and I imagine in Europe you guys can do that too. You just call your utility, your electric company, and tell them, ask them how you can switch suppliers, and they're supposed to tell you. They're supposed to show you how to do it. And there's a site somewhere on the internet. I don't know where it is. The energy department somewhere has it, or somewhere has a site that you can go to if your utility is giving you hassles about that. But they'll switch you over, and they do it. It takes a while because of course they don't want to lose the business. But by law, they're supposed to do that. They're supposed to switch you over if you ask them to switch it over. And actually, the way it works is you find out the names of all the different companies that can supply electricity to your house, and then you find one that will do renewable, and then sign up with them, and they'll take care of it. They'll contact your energy supplier and get it all switched over and stuff like that. And in a lot of cases, it'll be less than what you may be paying now for electricity, even. So it's a good thing to do, really. And you can, So those are the main things. And in terms of energy use, the stuff that uses the most energy in your house one is heating and cooling, and the other is hot water heater. Those are the two things that use the most electricity in your home. And then after that, it's maybe cooking. Well, of course, all the electrical appliances and stuff like that, and cooking and your refrigerator and all that kind of stuff, and computers and all that. Well, the sun's starting to go away now. I'm still on solar, but I think I'm starting to eat into my battery power now. So I want to make sure that I don't want to false advertise here and say I'm 100%. I'm still 100% solar here because it's using the solar energy that went into the battery when the sun was out. But the sun's going away here now, so I'll have to stop my stream here pretty soon to be. Or else I'll be false advertising saying it's 100% solar stream when it really isn't. All right, so those are some of the things you can do. I did a stream a while back. You can look it up. It's in the VOD somewhere where I talk about tips. In fact, I did 2 whole streams of it. Tips, all the specific things that you can do to save energy. And as I say, don't rely on the politicians. In fact, what they just did, I don't know, it's not being reported by anybody, the Congress just passed a resolution that will allow industry, particularly fossil fuel companies, to vent methane doing these flares. Let me show you what that is here. Here it is. I'll show you what this is. There we go. All right, can you see that? Is that showing up? Yeah. These gas flares, you know, where they got... That's not a very good picture. Somebody changed the picture here. There we go. There's one. You've probably seen these in industries, mostly in the fossil fuel industry. They pump oil out, and the oil has gas mixed in it, and they don't, you know, it's not economical or whatever for them to try to capture the gas and transport it and all that. So instead, they just burn it. They just flare it up in the air, and it just produces all kinds of greenhouse gases. And sometimes they just release it into the air. They just take the methane and just let it out into the air, which is really bad. Methane's like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 times worse greenhouse effect than CO2 even. You know, CO2 is the one everybody talks about, but there's some other ones, and methane is one of them that has even a worse effect on greenhouse climate change than CO2 even. And sometimes they'll just take that methane and just release it, and that's really bad. Or they'll burn it, and if they burn it, you know, 10% or whatever, 5% or whatever it is, doesn't even end up getting burned. It just, you know, it burns most of it, but a lot of it just, the methane just goes out anyway. And the part that does get burned, makes CO2, and it makes tons, millions of tons of CO2 get released each year because of this, because of them doing this flaring. And what Congress did is Congress first, way back during the COVID thing, and they passed one of these COVID bills, you know, big, huge $1 trillion bills, and buried in one of them was this thing that said that you know, they were trying to pay for some of this COVID stuff, and one of the things they wanted to do to pay for it was to have this, force these fossil fuel companies to pay for the damage that they do, you know, releasing all this shit into the air. And so they're going to fine them or charge a fee or whatever for every ton of stuff that they put out. And they were going to charge, I think it was $900 per million tons or something, or I can't remember what it was. No, yeah, it was $900. It started at $900, then $1,200, and then $1,500 per metric ton of methane or CO2 or whatever that they release. And so Congress passed that law. It was a few years ago. And the EPA, you know, went through the whole process, and, you know, they got a comment period and do their research and blah, 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 and did all this stuff. And they finally released, you know, their regulation late last year, in October, November last year, that said, okay, now you guys got to start paying. You know, here's the way we're going to do it. Here's the protocols. Here's the stuff. You got to do it. And now, just a few days ago, when Trump was getting everybody excited about whatever his latest distraction was, Congress did this resolution to void that regulation. So now the fossil fuel companies can do this and not pay a cent, and so they can destroy the environment, and they don't have to pay for it or anything. There are no fees or anything, because what Congress just did. And the thing is that what Congress did, they did a resolution to nullify the regulation. But the law is still in the books. There's still a law in the books that says that fossil fuel companies got to pay for this, you know. It's just that Congress just stopped the rule that the EPA put out. So anyway, yeah, don't vote for any incumbents ever until all the problems are solved. Until this problem is solved, we have a fair tax system, until we have term limits, you know, till all the problems are solved. Don't vote for any incumbents, and don't listen to whatever they say. Don't ever listen to what they say. Listen to what they do. Okay, there were 9 Democrats who voted for this bill, voted for this resolution. 9 Democrats voted for this, to have this flaring. And it wouldn't have passed without those 9 Democrats. It would have been 215 to 215 tie in the House if those Democrats would have voted against this. But instead, they either voted for it or they just didn't vote at all, and it passed then. So don't think that if you're voting for a Democrat or whatever that you're going to get that they're doing the right thing. Or don't vote just because somebody says they're for the environment doesn't mean they are for the environment. Just because somebody votes for it doesn't mean they're for it, because they all get together and trade votes and stuff like that, and so even their voting record won't reflect what they're actually trying to do. You know, you notice that these bills always pass by these slim little margins. That's because they trade each other's votes, and they say, "Oh, if I vote this, it'll be harder for me to get reelected. So you go ahead and vote for it, and I'll vote for something that you want that maybe your people don't, your constituency doesn't want." And they trade votes back and forth like that, and they do all this shitty stuff. So anyway, bottom line is we can't rely on them. We can't rely on leaders, our political leaders or our business leaders, to keep the environment safe, to help to do this right. So we got to do it ourselves. And all the stuff that I was just talking about, and all the stuff that I talked about on a couple other streams earlier on how to save energy and how to get off of fossil fuels, we got to do that ourselves. So the main stuff is make sure your home is 100% electric, and the electric is sourced from renewables. Make sure that you drive an electric car. Make sure you don't drive that often. Make sure that you don't fly anywhere. Don't take trips, If you do take a trip, take a short little trip in your electric car or whatever, Visit with people. We've got the technology now where you can visit with people online. Do stuff locally, if you have to. Just we got to do this, and they're not doing it. And stop buying shit. Don't buy stuff unless you actually really, really need it. We should join the boycott. There's a boycott going on, a worldwide boycott right now. It started in Eastern Europe and it spread to Europe. Now it's all over. It's worldwide. And the reason for it was just prices are too high. But really, we should just boycott everything right now until they fix it. Until they fix things. Until we got a democracy again. Until we got until they're doing what the people want. They're not doing what the people want. That's the bottom line with democracy is, right? You do what the people want. They're not doing that, so we don't have democracy. So you join the boycott. Don't do stuff. Don't travel. Don't, if you're in a position, stop working. Don't go to work anymore, or slow down. Slow down your work if you can. Only work, partially, part-time or whatever you can to put pressure on them, and to stop using fossil fuels. And we got to do it ourselves, man. All All right, enough of that. I should have made this a science stream, but I guess I talked about a lot of different stuff, so just chatting kind of is, if you talk about a variety of different things, you got to say just chatting. Let me check the what the what the current state is of COVID. We just to see how bad it is right now. Not positive hospitalization, deaths. All right, let's see if I've got a. We got territories here. No, that's not it. They may have gotten rid of it. Trends. Here we go. Okay. All right. So. All right. Let me bring this up. This is the COVID tracker at CDC. It's showing a downtrend, but it's not these aren't reported yet. These will be like this will be up here. So over the past month or so, we are at between 800 and 1,000. Between 735 and 1,014. And recently there have been even more flu deaths than COVID deaths. That's per week. So that's over 200 people a day are dying because they're not wearing their N95. Let me get my N95 here. Unfortunately, I had to go to, we had our town meeting here in New Hampshire. They do the town meetings on second Tuesday in March, I think. You always do it. So I had to go to town meeting, but I wore my mask. I'm hoping I'm okay from that. But a lot of people weren't wearing their masks, so I'm sure a lot of people ended up getting COVID or getting flu or something at the meeting. This is what you should be wearing right now. So a lot of people are dying, right? 200 people a day. I mean, imagine if there was a mass shooting in 20 different cities all in one day in the U.S. That's how many people are dying every day right now from COVID and flu because they're not wearing these masks, you know. When you wear your mask, it's got to be it has to say N95 on it, and it has to say NIOSH, NIOSH, and it has to have loops that go all the way around the back of your head. You know, these masks that only go around your ears, those are no good. They might not protect you as well as an N95. NIOSH so far, you know, unless they changed it recently, only approves masks that have straps that go all the way around your head. So that's one way you can tell if you got the right mask. But it has to say N95 on it, and it has to say NIOSH on it. And when you wear it, the main thing is to make sure that it makes a seal around your face. Here's one that has a real nice little gasket in it. Sometimes they don't have, they just have just a regular, you know, just part of the mask here. But make sure it fits makes a seal all the way around your face. And the place that it leaks a lot of times is up by the nose. So they got these little clips here, metal clips that help you get a good fit. So you put it on and then push with your fingers. Don't squeeze like this, because that'll make it too tight, and then it will still have a leak in it. But if you're putting on a new mask that you just bought, you put it on and then push on the sides like this, and smooth it. Make sure that it's tight up there. and make sure that it just makes a smooth fit all the way around. Because if the air leaks in, right, then the mask isn't going to do any good. I've got a chatter here. Nico Ninja, thank you for joining the stream. Thank you. First time chat. Yeah, I checked out your stream the other day. Your streamed some stuff. Let me give Nico Ninja a shout out here. For those of you watching on the VOD, this is a live Twitch stream, and they have a setup here so we can do chat, so people who are watching can chat with the viewers, with the streamer rather. So let me give a shout out to Nico Ninja. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because they're a streamer. There it is. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. Wait, they were last thing. Okay, music. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, that's not necessary. Yeah, sure. Well, I appreciate it. I don't get very many viewers. I'm at that point. I don't have what you call it, affiliate yet or anything like that. I'm still kind of a beginner streamer, so I don't have a lot of people. Don't have a big audience anyway. So I appreciate you coming. Yeah, today I was just talking about I don't know, a lot of stuff, but we talked about this woman, Colleen Cavanaugh, who discovered chemosynthesis, which it's a technical thing, but what it did is it made it plausible that there could be life in our solar system, extraterrestrial life. So that was good that woman did that. She discovered that thing and made it so that we could continue looking for extraterrestrial life in our own solar system. So that was kind of cool. And what else did we talk about? We talked about subterranean homes, underground homes, making your home so that it's underground and put earth berms over it and stuff like that so that it doesn't use as much energy. We talked about other energy saving things. We talked about this thing that Congress just passed, while everybody was getting distracted from stuff, that's been going on. They kind of snuck in this resolution that allowed the fossil fuel companies to flare and burn and let methane out into the atmosphere, which is really bad. And then I went through a whole bunch of other tips and stuff. I have some streams earlier where I talked about things that you can do to cut down on your fossil fuel use, and your energy use generally. So we talked about that. And then now I'm talking about COVID. COVID is really bad right now. We've got between COVID and the flu, we've got over 200 people a day who are dying in the U.S. So that's really bad. And that's why I was explaining you need to wear your masks right now. People don't understand that. There are a lot of people out there who aren't wearing their masks. You're like 2 or 3 times more likely to die from not because you didn't wear a mask than you are to die because you didn't wear a seatbelt. It's worse to go without a mask than it is to go without a seatbelt. That's how bad it is right now. So you gotta, that's why I was explaining how that all worked. And it has to be an N95 mask. You can't wear a cloth mask or anything else. It's got to say N95 on it, and it has to have the word NIOSH on there. N-I-S-O-H. I'm sorry, N-I-O-S-H. NIOSH. And it has to have straps that go all the way around your head. That's really important. And you got to make sure that it makes a seal all the way around. And beards are no good. You got to if you have a beard, you got to either trim your beard so that the mask can still seal to your face or whatever, because you can't get a good seal if you have a beard. The air will leak in around the sides. So beards are not good. And you also, when it was really bad, when the pandemic was really bad, I used an elastomeric respirator, which looks a little goofy, but it's a lot more effective. And there's some fitting face piece masks that are what they call N100 or P100. This N95 means that it's 95% efficient. It'll filter out 95% of the tiny little particles that carry the virus, which hopefully is enough. You know. But everybody, yeah, you need to wear your mask. It's very, very important. COVID is horrible. My first time with it was awful. Yeah, it is bad. Yeah, even for younger people, it's not fun to go through a lot of times. And it's like somebody said that it was equivalent to like smoking a pack a day for a year or something like that. Each time you get COVID or something, I mean, it's really hard on it's just hard on your lungs. And a lot of people, like for every person who dies from COVID, we're talking about 200 people a day, or no, what is it, so maybe 110, 120 people a day dying from COVID. For each person who dies from COVID, there are a dozen more who end up getting long COVID, which could be, anywhere from, completely debilitating. So they just have a chronic condition where they can't do anything hardly, or sick enough that they can't work anymore. So it's really bad. And flu, there are actually more. Last statistic I heard, there were more flu deaths than COVID deaths right now. They're about almost even. So it's really bad. It's really important to wear these masks. And it's very important to make sure it's N95. One of these days I'll do a stream where I get into detail about why these masks are different than cloth masks. They're manufactured differently. They have a totally different technology. They use electrostatic filtering. They're completely different than like a cloth mask. So and it makes a complete seal. So it's a completely different thing. They're much more effective. So. Okay, so that's my stream. Let's see, my lung. Oh, let's see. Nico Ninja says my lungs wasn't the worst part. It was the dehydration and tiredness with the fever. My mom had a terrible cold from it. It's strange how it affects everyone different. Yeah, a big variety of different symptoms that people get, and different severity. It's worse on older people, but even if you had no symptoms at all, you should still wear a mask, because you can get infected and then take it home to your loved ones and infect them and hurt them, injure them and kill them or whatever, or you could pass it on to somebody else who could harm their family with it. You know what I mean? That's how contagion works. So even if you think that it's not going to harm you, you could be killing other people by not wearing a mask. So it's very important to wear the mask. It's important for old people like me, who might not weather COVID as well. So, all right. So I think I've been in here about an hour. How long have I been in here? Hour and a half. That's a long stream for me. I just wanted to get out here, but I had the sun shining. I was able to do 100% solar stream, so I wanted to do that. But the sun's gone down now, so I gotta wrap it up now. I appreciate you coming to the stream. Let's see, we did that. I think that's all I got to do now. All right, so everybody, if you're watching this on the VOD, yeah, give me a follow on. Let's see, on YouTube, I'm at doubletribble-yt. Doubletribble-yt is where my VODs are at. So you give me a subscribe or whatever they call it over there, and give me a follow here if you're not following. And I appreciate everybody stopping by. I don't know when my next stream will be. Next time the sun comes out and it's warm enough that I can do a stream, I'll do another stream. So all right, thanks a lot for coming. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye.